Hey, hello, and welcome to Just Like Me. I'm here with Jackie Phillips. You live in the UK, don't you, Jackie?
Um, I did live in the UK, but I'm now living in Spain.
Oh, that's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah, so we've been living in Spain for roughly 18 months. Yeah,
Oh, so this
and
is fairly new for you then.
yes, fairly new, very exciting, very different. But yeah, we're enjoying it. We're really enjoying the experience, and it's a real immersion of cultures and language, and yeah, but it's exciting.
So what took you to Spain?
um my husband got offered a job in Spain. So
Hmm.
we are situated in the south of Spain, in Malaga, so on the Costa del Sol. And yeah, so I mean, I didn't actually realize how big Spain was. And I've been to Spain once before,
Hmm.
and we actually didn't have the opportunity to come and see Malaga before we moved here.
Wow.
So it was a real step of faith, shall we say.
Hmm.
Or step into the madness, whichever one you prefer to
Yeah.
take your pick.
Wow. So that was a huge adjustment then.
Yeah, really, really big, really big. But thankfully, it's turning out well. Yeah,
I bet the weather there is nice.
the weather is nice.
Yeah.
It's extreme. It's
Okay.
different. I mean, I'm originally from South Africa, so it's not it's not worlds apart from the weather that I grew up with, and
Hmm.
have been in for the majority of my life. But it's definitely different from the UK, and there are definite extremes in weather. The winters, can be quite cold. It gets colder the further up north you are. Here
Hmm.
in the south, it's not as extreme, but you only have to travel an hour and a half away, and you're in the mountains, and it's snowing. So
Okay.
yeah, it's very variable.
Huh. So where you are, you could go into the mountains and go skiing then even?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Really?
In fact,
Okay.
yeah, in fact, if you, they say that you can, if you come and do a holiday and you go skiing in the Sierra Nevada, they say that you can be skiing in the morning and sitting on the beach in the afternoon. That's how close it is.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's it's strange. It's different from what we're used to, but
So you've got
yes,
a bit of everything there.
yeah, no, definitely a bit of everything.
Wow. Okay. So when you are you working there? Are you working?
um, I'm not. No,
Okay.
I'd like to be able to find something.
Hmm.
It's difficult. There's quite a high unemployment rate in Spain, so yeah, it's not that easy, and they don't actually speak. They don't actually speak that much English here.
Hmm.
English isn't as widely spoken as you might imagine it to be.
Hmm.
So finding something is proving a bit challenging, but
Yeah.
sure, yeah, just have to keep on working at it.
Yeah. No, I was curious if you were working as well. Um, so how are you spending your days?
Well, there never seems to be a shortage
No,
of
I'm sure there's not.
things to do.
No.
So we live about half an hour out of Malaga city, and I spend two of my mornings, but it's a bit longer because to get into the city and to find parking is a bit tricky. So what I actually land up doing is parking outside of the city. So I attend Spanish classes twice a week in the mornings, but it roughly equates to about sort of 4 hours of your day, probably a bit more. I've been fortunate enough to meet some Spanish ladies who I then go and do intercambio with. So we speak, it's a kind of language exchange where you do half an hour in English and half an hour in Spanish.
Okay.
It's not as rigid as that though. I mean, we're friends, so it's,
Yeah.
you know, we have lunch or we, you know, meet for breakfast or whatever the case may be. And so it works out well that I go for my classes and then I meet up with one of them either on a Monday or Wednesday, and we land up doing that. And the rest of the time, the days just seem to fill up with all sorts
for
of
sure.
things.
Totally.
So
how have you found it? I'm curious because you like moved to a completely new place where I'm assuming you didn't know anybody.
No.
Nobody. And you don't know the language, but I mean, you're learning it.
Yeah.
How have you found it connecting with people there?
It was very difficult in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It was my husband's company is a Canadian company, and so a lot of the colleagues he works with, the language that they speak is English. So a lot of the company is made up of the majority of Spanish people and then a minority of sort of expatriates. But the Spaniards that he works with speak English really well. So we were able to, you know, do things with them, meet new people through them. I realized quite quickly that in order to not feel so isolated, I needed to kind of put myself out there, which is something that I don't necessarily like to do. I don't feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
But I needed to kind of connect with people, not only just by going into the village and doing the shopping, but sort of, you know, on a more meaningful basis. So I found this website where you can sort of create a profile page and connect with people, like-minded people. So for example, similar ages or, you know, whatever criteria you specify. And I was very fortunate to kind of find two ladies who are Spanish speaking, or who are Spaniards, native Spanish, who are Malagueñans, that they want to learn English. So we, you know, it was very nice for me to meet up with them, and it became quite obvious that we would be more than just, you know, language buddies, but there is actually, you know, a friendship that developed from that. So
nice.
Yes, that's been really good. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because it can be quite isolating, but I think it also depends on the culture of the place too, right? I guess if it's sort of a place that's more open and warm and inviting, then no matter what the cultural barriers are, you can feel welcomed into it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And here there's very much a warm and welcoming sort of, I mean, the Malagueñans are very open-minded, and there are actually a lot of expat communities on the Costa del Sol. We don't live on the coast, we live inland, so you know, we don't necessarily, you know, we didn't come to Spain to be expats. We wanted to come to Spain to immerse ourselves with the Spanish people and with the Spanish culture, and so
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
really needed to you know, connect with Spanish people. And fortunately, you know, everyone we've met so far has been really warm and accommodating, and they are very friendly. So I think we've been lucky on that front.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, see, you didn't need your yoga journal for all that. You already knew. You know the answers to that. So normally, the question that I love to ask is how you came to yoga. Like, what was it that drew you to it? When did you start? All that kind of thing.
My relationship with yoga began way back when. I think I would probably say I was diagnosed with high blood pressure at a very young age, sort of around 20.
Wow, that is
And
young.
I remember going to see a homeopath because I just, I had this kind of this resistance to being on medicine. I didn't want to accept that I needed to be on medication for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I went to see a homeopath in the hope that he could provide me with, an alternative, remedy or help in another way.
Cool.
And he suggested that he recommended a lady to me who her sole focus was on breathing. And I think that was probably my introduction to yoga.
Wow.
Certainly the breathing part of it.
Awesome.
And she took me through a whole series of breathing exercises. And yeah, we just used to literally spend a couple of hours just focusing on breathing.
Amazing. So, what an introduction, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking before yoga became like super mainstream, there used to be teachers that were like teaching that way. It wasn't like yoga for exercise or yoga to get a bodacious bod or yoga to do all these contortionist poses. There were like a handful of teachers around, and they were sort of hard to find, and they were kind of teaching in their basements and in kind of various places, and they were teaching like real yoga, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I remember this lady. She was fantastic. She was fairly. I mean, at that point, being in my 20s, I thought she was ancient, but she probably wasn't. She was probably about in her 60s.
Right. She was just older than you.
Yeah. And she was, I mean, it was an eye-opener, a real eye-opener to go to her. And I think that was probably the start of my yoga journey. I continued through different places I worked at. There were some of my colleagues were interested, and I used to go with a colleague to a center where there was another fantastic yoga teacher, but she'd been teaching for years and years and years. And she must have at least been in her 70s and maybe even 80s, and she was teaching yoga. But it was a very, it was an on and off relationship. There was no one person or teacher or place that I found to kind of continue or deepen the practice. So it was, very much initially an on and off.
So when did it become on for you?
Well, when we were living in the UK, there was we'd moved to a new area, and I really wanted to do something where I could meet people. So initially it started off more as I wanted to join a yoga class. I wanted to find people. I wanted to socialize with people. If I joined a class, then maybe I'd be able to meet some like-minded people, join some book clubs, or, something like that. And I saw an advert, a guy who was quite a reputable teacher within the area, and it didn't start off very well, actually, because I remember having been for some surgery and having a lump on my leg, and I went to his class and felt extremely uncomfortable because I was wearing quite loose-fitting trousers, and he got quite upset because he couldn't see where my legs were positioned within clothes.
Yeah. Okay.
He wanted me to expose my legs, and I just, I wanted to keep them hidden. I wanted to show him my legs, and I think I lasted for a class, and then I decided, okay, no, it was more than that. He wasn't the teacher for me.
Right.
And and so,
I think that might have thrown me off too.
Yeah. And actually, I don't mean to I heard some stories way after that experience about him as a teacher. So in a way, I'm glad that it never continued.
Yeah. So maybe a few warning bells there.
A reputation within the the yoga field.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so I remember thinking, okay, now I definitely want to do yoga. So I remember going home, and then that's when I logged on. I thought, no, well, YouTube, there must be something. I need to go on and do a search. And I think that's when I came across your beginners classes.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started on those beginners classes, I just knew, well, this is it for me.
I can wear whatever I want. I know you guys always see me in my squeeze clothes, but you know what I practice in every day? It's like my dressing gown and my pajamas and oh God, I look a sight.
Yeah, it's pretty well. I imagine that if that's what I do, at some point you probably would have done that as well, because I think everybody does it. You get up in the morning and
you roll out of bed and onto your mat, right?
Yeah.
Do you get dressed to practice?
Only sometimes.
Yeah, it's like 1 in 1,000 times for me, to be honest with you.
I have to force myself.
Because
I kind of feel, well, if I'm there's a sense of seriousness. If I get dressed in my yoga clothes, then things might go. I need to get serious now, so I need to be in the yoga clothes.
I know. I'm not saying it doesn't kind of go. Yeah, it feels. There's a level of ceremony to it. Then when you actually put on your yoga clothes, it's true. It's like cleanliness. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wash my face and brush my teeth. It's not like I'm pulling sleepy dirt out of my eyes through the whole Anyway, we digress. So you found the beginner classes.
Yes, I found the beginner classes and I started on them, and I remember telling my husband about how fantastic these classes were, and he knew that I was trying really hard to look for a class. And then I think I must have mentioned about and I think the membership site was fairly new. I think you just moved to the platform that you use now.
Okay, yeah.
And I think
so then there was only 2 beginner classes then back then.
Yeah, but I think
it's not like now and there's 30 of them.
No.
Yeah.
But there were a fair few on the on Namaste Yoga. I remember there being at least, I don't know, maybe 5. But
okay.
I'm mistaken. I'm sure there were at least about 5.
Okay, but not like now where you could.
No.
Yeah.
Not like now. And so my husband decided that he would sponsor me my membership, and
nice.
then that's how I joined the membership site. So,
good decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I received a comment on the website the other day. They're like, oh man, they've been following my classes since like when we first introduced the membership site, and they're like, man, I really wish I became a member when it first came out. Because, well, you guys came on board when there wasn't nearly, I mean, the membership wasn't what it is now. I mean, but it was still good. There was still, you know, I mean, you guys are still being served as a community then, and there was still content in there. And I mean, now it's different. Now we have so much, and it's all a matter of like making it accessible and doable and curating content for you so it's not overwhelming. But yeah, those of you that got in early have a amazingly sweet deal now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
we don't have many people leave anymore. Not the early ones. It'd be silly because if you look at the cost of a 10 class pass, or you couldn't even get a month pass for what some of you are paying for a year now.
That's definitely true. Yeah.
So you came.
Yeah, really, really good. So we struck gold.
You did. So what's going on with your high blood pressure now? Is that still an issue for you, or did the yoga help you with that, or what's going on with that?
The yoga definitely helped. I don't know, I suppose because I got it so young, and it wasn't hereditary. Every doctor that I've gone to has tried to, in their own way, try to figure out, well, you can't have this. But
you have it, but you can't have it. We need to fix this. Okay. It's not fitting into their paradigm.
So I've moved through different stages between accepting that, that's what it is and I need to take the tablets, to going, okay, no, now enough's enough. I'm going to wean myself off the tablets and try something else. And ultimately, it will be high, but not dangerously high, that I need to be on the medication.
Yeah.
But it will reach a point where it needs to be controlled again.
Yeah.
So long as I'm on a minimal dose, it's controlled. But I need, for some reason, I need that drug.
Yeah.
In that very small quantity to keep it under control, because I can manage for periods of time without taking it, but then there's always something that just pushes it above, the level of what the doctor would consider a safe level. So, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's your body, and that's how it is. And I think it's much better to, like you say, bring acceptance to it and just go with that flow, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I definitely think that the yoga helps in a really big way, because I think just as my nature is one of, I'm an anxious person. So I think that if I didn't do the yoga, maybe, I would need to take a higher dose, or, so I
who knows, but all these things go together, right? Like I know another teacher and I were talking about this, we've been talking about it over the last few days about, the yoga doesn't exist in isolation. It's not going to be a cure-all, right? It's like, it is a part of our healing journey, right? Part of it is that we're under the care our medical doctors, and then we don't expect them to cure everything, but we come in and do our part as well with our yoga practice. And so all of these come together. It's not that, we don't hand all of our control over to our doctors. We don't hand all of our control over to our yoga practice, right? All these things have to come together. Yeah. So we have some agency, and we have medical professionals that can help us as well, but I think neither one can exist in isolation, So it's good. And thank God we live in a time where we have access to prescription drugs and the medical community and hospitals and all of that, right? Because in the past, who knows, maybe you would have died and not lived as long because of that, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I know because I've had the privilege of having access to medication and doctors and Chinese medicine, because we live in a global world. Like, all of that's helped make the migraines that I've experienced manageable and allowed me to function. Like, I can't even imagine if I lived in a time when I didn't have access to these things. I wouldn't be able to do what I love doing, teaching. I wouldn't be able to be present as a mother to my daughter or a wife to my husband. All of these things wouldn't be available to me. So, and all of these things come together with the meditation, with the yoga, all of them. If I wasn't doing that part, the other part wouldn't work either. So they all come together.
They do.
Yeah. So it's good. We can't do things all by ourselves. And
no.
Yeah. So, cool. So you came in the membership community and you've been here for a long time. Do you have some favorite sections or favorite classes?
Yeah. Well, I would say that my go-to section has probably always been the Daily Yoga Connection.
Yep.
That's the section that I'll come to my mat and I'll go, okay, so unless I have a theme that I'm working on, so I think I've mentioned a couple of times, I do some inner critic work in the background. So for me, that's kind of some shadow work that goes on. So unless I'm focusing on that, then I'll come to the mat with the intention that, okay, so what's been set out for me today? And then I'll, look at what the Daily Yoga Connection has got on for the week. And normally, it works well because I come, Monday being the start of the week, you sit down and you go, okay, so what are we doing for this week? And I'll have a look. There'll be Hannah or yourself or
Nicole.
Else, doing a teaching, and then you have a rough idea of what to expect for the week. And for me, that works really well. I enjoy that. I delve into other sections from time to time, but I always find that the Daily Yoga Connection is what draws me. It's where I find I get the most, I wouldn't say value, but that's not the right.
Well, I think in a way it is, because the nice thing about the Daily Yoga Connection is you're going to get the most maybe exposure, because it's going to take you. I mean, we're trying to, each month in the membership community, we're bringing a theme forward, and then you're maybe going to get exposure to classes that you might not have known about. Or I know I'm particularly, as the leader of the forum, I'm trying to bring forward classes that, I mean, this is the way I'm thinking. I'm looking at classes when I'm doing them, when I film them, and I'm like, what? This class has only had 200 views? Why are people doing this class? and then mentally I'm making a note and I'm making sure it's going to be on that Daily Yoga Connection at some point, right? Yes. A class should not be ignored like that.
No, siree.
Like I did a class this past weekend,
Uh-huh.
and it had 200 views. It was a class for the Central and Governing Meridian. It was like, maybe it had 150 views. I was like, what is up with that? This is a great class. And then I linked to it on my mat today. I said I did it. By the end of the day, it was up to 200 views. I was like, now that's more like it. And then I put it on a 30-day challenge for March. I'm like, well, hopefully by the end of March, we'll get it up. I think in the membership community, we should, a lot of times in the membership communities, a lot of the classes are around 200 views. And that's just too low, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, the favorites in the membership community are around 1,000 views. And
wow.
Listen to me. These are things I shouldn't concern myself with, but I do, if I'm honest. And as you're saying in the Daily Yoga Connection, one of the things I'm thinking about is like, okay, are people doing these classes? Like Fascia February, it's like, are people using these practices? And I think the answer was no. And a lot of people came on board with those in Fascia February when we said, okay, look, we're doing this. So,
well, I mean, for me, having, joined when I did, I mean, I know that there are classes in the, either on, Namaste Yoga classes, or classes on the membership site that, I've never seen, and, I often, actually, the other section that I enjoy having a look through is the community playlist section.
Yeah.
Because if I'm particularly focused on,
I'm going to show that. Keep talking.
On something, for instance, I go, okay, my hips and legs feel tight today. I would like a quick class just to to focus on them, then that's where I go, because I know that a lot of the classes are categorized in that section.
Yeah.
Whereas, less so now, but I'd say definitely before this section was created, it was very difficult unless you knew what keywords to put into the search, or you knew exactly where to look. It was very difficult to access a class that you may have seen reference, but you didn't have a clue where to go find it. So this is a really helpful section for me, and it's one that I go to frequently.
It really is. It's taken time to build it, but it's worth it, and it's okay that it's taken time to build it, and there's still more potential to build it here. But we ask questions, because when you ask questions, it feeds into building this list too, and other people can help. We can help build this list too, like like this one for jaw pain, for example. And they, the thing is too, they always need to be continually updated.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing, because sometimes I'm doing a class and I'm thinking, okay, this class would be good for that playlist that I've seen, and I know it's not on there, but then often I'll make a note, or I'll make a mental note, but then afterwards forget to say, can someone update it, because you just forget, or you feel, do people have time to actually update these? Or
so that's a really good point. So let's say, for example, you think, so Kiana's got the favorites for the female issues. So all you would, if you were, and presumably if you had come from, you wouldn't have come from there. But anyway, if you had the chance, let me show you a couple of things you can do. Okay. I'm in a wrong, So you come to the playlist section, and if you're in a good browser like Chrome, you don't even have to like search through pages and pages of it. You can just do Control F and search for, let's say, meridians, and then it'll highlight, and then you can very quickly search through all of these pages. So for example, say you found one that would be good to be added to the liver meridian or whatever, then you could just reply to this thread and say, I did this class today and I think it would be great for that. I'll see it and I can add it really easily.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And I would be, for one, incredibly appreciative of that. It would take it
going forward, because it often occurs to me that I'll find a class and I'll think, oh, this would be perfect to add to this playlist or have here, and it's just not obvious who to let know, or so now perfect.
Yeah. So for you or anybody listening to Jackie's interview, just reply to the playlist. It's so helpful for me, or Fiona, who's made the playlist. Or anybody that's made a playlist, they can edit the playlist. They can go back and make the change, and it's a really easy way to do it. Yeah. Because those are really helpful, and also they're helpful to us. Sometimes when we come up with our monthly themes, we have to make a whole new playlist and then we add it. That's one way that we've been making better playlists too. But sometimes they already exist and then we're like, yay, we're all set for the month. So sometimes we get lucky. But yeah, that community playlist section is great, especially if you have specific issues. It's great for new members coming in, because often when new members come in, they're like, I have this issue, I have that issue, I have that issue, and then I just say, oh, go here, go here, go here. Because when we release new content, we don't necessarily release it in the way that people are asking for it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, complete sense.
Yeah, because people are complex human beings, and the problems don't always present in the same way. Like, for example, like we have that great Yoga for Runners video. That video has great stuff for hips, has great stuff for knees, has great stuff for feet in it. So then it goes on the hip playlist, it goes on the knee playlist, it goes on the foot playlist. But, but it sits on its own in the long videos section, right? Yeah. And so many people have never touched that class because why? I'm not a runner.
Yeah.
Right? But I said to somebody else in another interview, I'm like, if you have legs, you should probably have done that. You should do that video, right? So that's where you say there's probably videos you've never touched, like Yoga for Cyclists, because I don't ride a bike. But again, you have legs, you have a back, you have a body. That's a good class to try.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It is interesting. But I'm pretty sure I've not done Yoga for Cyclists. I know I've done the runners one, but there's something that wouldn't occur to me to do yoga for cyclists, because your mind is just, okay, well, I don't ride a bike, so
yeah. Well, and also it sounds like you're kind of driven by the more kind of juicy, somatic, emotional connection stuff too right now.
Yeah, that would be fair to say.
Yeah. So you said you like the inner critic stuff. Do you go back to that series a lot?
Oh yes. There's a definite sticking point in that series for me. And it's one that I visit frequently in the hope that I can progress a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one where it talks about choice.
Okay.
And Yeah, and it's, I hit that mark, and I'm thinking, okay, what now?
Okay, so that's interesting. You know what that makes me wonder? So speaking of, let's take a look at another way to look at choice, because so what I did when I did that series was I went through the themes that I was taught in Phoenix Rising, and so it was like befriending your body, awareness, acceptance, discernment, and choice. I'm maybe not quite getting the order right, and I feel like I've taught through those themes in more than one series.
Right.
So what I'm saying is you can do it in the Inner Critic series, but so see how you can search my website here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you can maybe come at it from another series too. Yeah, look, like here at the beginning.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I've not thought of that.
Yeah. Yoga with Melissa number 5 is on choice too.
Yeah.
So you could actually go through that series from the beginning. Mm-hmm. You'd have to suffer through our less than great. I mean, we've improved on our videography and filming since then. But those themes, you could start at the beginning again and go through those themes straight without the inner critic stuff, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that's definitely useful, because it's, you get stuck, and then you just find yourself kind of reversing in and out of the same thing, and not able to kind of look to the side.
Yeah.
You kind of get fixated with going through the series, or that's
exactly
me, without kind of thinking, being a bit more creative and a bit more thinking out the box and coming at an angle. But I like that suggestion.
So let me see if I feel like I've taught through those themes a few times. Let me see if there's another time that I taught through those themes. It's coming up in the Inner Critic series. So I'm just clicking on previous entries here to see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. Maybe I've only taught through them twice. Well, this one is, Edge is another interesting place to look at choice too. Like, how much is too much? How much is not enough? Because you have to choose a lot. That's it for there. The other thing I'm curious about, because you said you do the inner critic stuff. Maybe you already know about this, but maybe you don't know about this. In the Connecting with the Ground of Yourself series?
Yes.
There's the inner critic check-in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll just show people that, because it's, I feel like this is one of those series that I'm always like championing, but it was just so poorly named that it gets forgotten a lot. So it's really near the top. Seasonal transition, brain yoga, nurturing relationships. It was really badly named. I should probably just rename them. I say this every time I show the section. But here there's, and this is where that video was, the central and governing meridian one that I was saying about this morning. But there's an inner critic check-in, which Jackie knows about already. And this is, if you like the shadow work too, you can, so many people, when I interview them too, they talk about the Inner Critic series. And so this is, without going through, not that there's not value in going through the whole series, but this is like a short 10-minute meditation that you can do on a daily basis, where you can just do that quick check-in to explore what your inner critic needs on a daily basis, what is wanting to come forward to love and protect you. So it's nice sort of daily thing that you might want to do for a while if you feel like that inner critic is really coming forward.
Yeah,
it's a good little resource.
There was another series of Namaste Yoga that you did, which I really enjoyed. Now I know I'm not going to get the name right, but it was based on a mantra, something about Ayudehi.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
It was the Nourishing the Ground of Yourself series, but let's see. Ayurdehi.
Sure, I know that it went through the senses. So I know that at one point there was smell and there was touch and there was, you know, there was a mantra that accompanied. So you went through each line of it.
Nourishment, yeah.
And
47, nourishing your soul, nourishing your vision.
That was a fantastic
nourishing your hearing.
That I remember doing. It sticks in my mind as one of the ones that I enjoyed. Yeah.
Let's see. This isn't the beginning of the series, but maybe we can find out what the series was called when we come here. Maybe it's the beginning. Anyway, it's in around 2:41 that it starts.
Okay.
But yeah, we did the Ayurdehi mantra.
Right.
And it was a great series, wasn't it? Because we spent a long time with it, and we did the one line of the mantra each week.
That's right, yeah. And for me, that just really stood out. I think I enjoyed sticking with it for the amount of time that it took to do the whole mantra. But yeah, it was similar to one of the series. In fact, I think why it stood out so much at the time for me was it was just before we were moving from the UK to Spain, and you did a 4-week. It was a repetitive week. You took a series of 5 classes, and we repeated them for 4 weeks. And I think it was on anxiety, and it just there's something about the repeating of the classes.
Oh yeah, in the membership. Yeah, we did.
And I enjoyed that. That stood out for me as well.
Yeah, I actually have that listed in our membership community. Like, if you go to the community playlist section, to the anxiety series, to the anxiety classes, I actually have that series because people were so taken by that.
Yeah,
I actually have those daily yoga connections, and I think it was called a weekly challenge back then.
That's right, yes.
I think I have it listed in there as part of how to do classes for anxiety. I think it's on the second page, maybe. This is where, if I was in Chrome, I would be able to hear. I don't know. Maybe the third page. Here, classes for anxiety. So, right, here it is.
Yeah.
Week 1, we focused on yang energy. So each week I gave a different teaching, but then we repeated the same classes every week.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it was really powerful. People got really into that. People just went right on board with that. And people became members because of it too. It was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's so much in here, and like, so like, just like in this case, and I often say this, it probably doesn't bear repeating, but with, like you said, with the daily yoga connection, you can go back to any daily yoga connection. I'm going to pull it up here. Let's see. You can go back to any one of them because we've been doing them for years. And if you need something, like you just said, if you feel like you always need to be moving forward and doing something else and changing your life, then you come here and do this trust of repeated practice, right? Or if you need to bring forgiveness into your life, then do this forgiveness one. Or, if it's right now it's the new moon and you want to start a new beginning, then do the new intention one. There's themes. These are playlists in and of themselves too.
Yeah.
Like you can treat these as playlists as well. And if you want to find a direction for your practice, you can come to these pages and pages and pages of daily yoga connections and find you don't have to stay with the week that we're on. You can come back and be like, okay, you know what? I really need to ground this week. Okay. Ground. I really need, look, here's a whole other anxiety one. Maybe that's a whole different one. I should put that one on the anxiety playlist.
Yeah.
Right? Or I need to focus on digestion.
Yeah.
I could come into this and add to the playlist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, I could work 24/7 and never have this membership community sorted. So I just have to stop myself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably why I never get past the daily yoga connection, is because there's so much there that
yeah. And that's what we tell people when they come in, like just choose one spot and you're gonna like I'm taking a course right now, and I think we feel like we have to like get our money's worth. I got to get everything out of it, but we have to look at value in a different way. It's not like when you go to, this isn't a Chinese, what do you call that when there's like a buffet? This isn't a Chinese buffet where you go in and you got to gorge yourself. That is not how you get your money's worth. This is a beautiful Japanese tapas restaurant, and you're going to order something off the menu, and it's going to come and it's going to be beautifully presented to you, and you're going to look at how beautiful it is, and you're going to take it in, and it's going to nurture you, and it's going to sustain you on a very deep level. And when you can look at it that way, you can see the value of it. So when I'm telling, so it's like we have to shift our mindset. We don't have to gorge. When I came into the course that I'm taking right now, I was like, there was something that I received on the welcome page. And I was like, oh my God. It was so profound to me that I felt that I had received the entire value for what I paid for the entire course. I was like, I don't need anything more.
Wow.
That was worth the entire price of entry to the course to me. Like that just fed me on such a deep level.
Yeah.
And I think if we shift our mindset in that way to allow ourselves to receive on stuff instead of like,
Yeah, no, that's a very true analogy of I think it's just, we just, I don't know, I think it's a societal thing where we're
Yeah.
just so,
We're so programmed to consume. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so, it's really not easy to,
but this is different, right? This
yeah.
what we're doing here is different, right? It's like you can't consume consume the evolution of your soul. You can't. Right?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing. You have to be open to its unfolding. It's so different. So yeah. Okay, I'll get off the soapbox now. So it's really smart. The thing is, it's really smart to just allow yourself to be nourished by the daily yoga connection. Wonderful. Perfect. You're getting what you need. You're receiving huge value there. Perfect.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely spot on.
Yes. So with that, I have kept you long enough. It's late there now. I appreciate your time. And especially you must be like worn out because we did meditation before this too. So
yeah, well, I was actually thinking to myself, well, should I skip the meditation? But then I thought, well, no, because that's I don't want to. But I'm sure I can. I can do both. I can do both. I want to do both.
Well, I hope you have a little time to unwind now from the screen time, and thank you for coming to both. I hope you were nourished by the meditation and have a little bit of downtime from the screen now.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye. Namaste.
Bye.